and I've been thinking about my soul, and I said, I don't, not necessarily counseling, but I just really just have a question, and I wanted to ask to a believer, so I could maybe get an idea of where to go on it or how to pray on it or just whatever. And so I asked the person if I could ask a question. So I'll just ask you, can I ask you the question, and maybe you give me
Sure.
an idea? Okay. So I'm 50, I just turned 50 recently. I'm biracial. My mother's white and my father's black. And I had just recently remembered or start thinking about my parents from a long time ago, thinking about some of the things that had happened and my mom had told me, and just different stuff from back then and a long time ago. So I thought about it. I said, well, I was born in New York City in the 60s in a Catholic hospital, and I had to be segregated for 4 months before I was released to hospital for special treatment or something, because the people of color at that time were considered animals still, technically. I'm just saying. And that changed after around the 70s, where after the bell curve and Dianetics and the Tuskegee experiment failed and all kinds of different stuff, and then they said, oh, well, we made a mistake. But so that made me think and have questions, because I said, wait a minute, when the Bible came out, that means that those millions of melanated people on the other side of the planet, they didn't even know they were human. They were considered animals at that time. They according to Darwin, or according to the belief system that I was taught growing up, there was two systems. One was evolution, which was humans eventually standing erect, evolving from apes, which was the melanated side, and then they said Adam and Eve, which was the creation side from Adam and Eve. But when I did my DNA, my 23andMe, I have European ancestors and African ancestors, and the Europeans, some of them are 100% European. They're 0% African, so everybody didn't come from Adam and Eve. So I wondered, what side of me, how do I remedy that? I'm biracial. Did Jesus even come to save the melanated people? Because nobody resolved that. Peter, Paul, Samuel, all those names are not African. So nobody even knew these people were human at that time. How does that work?
Okay, that I'm completely not sure of. That's a lot.
I mean, are you a believer?
Yes, sir.
How do you remedy that? I mean, this was all told to us during the time of slavery, and that's when, after 1600 years, this was released to the people, and crosses were nailed down in every village, and the slaughter ensued. And after that, now we just believe that, I just wonder, how do you actually remedy all of that and still believe?
Yeah. Well, I would have to really sit down and consider that personally myself. All that I could do, or we could do here, is to just set you up with one of our faith-based counselors to go over those questions you have. I am a believer, but not mature enough in my
to have a full understanding.
Yet, because you reach levels.
Wow.
And so
you must not be 50.
I'm 52, but
I'm saying, my soul is on the line. I'm getting close.
I could answer those questions, but what we could do is just connect you with a counselor in your area.
Well, here's the thing. I'm an agoraphobic. Let me just give you a little, personal thing real quick. I'm an agoraphobic. I don't know if you know what that means. I'll just tell you. That means that I've only been out of my house a few times in my life.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't do a lot of coming out for just standard things like most people. Most of my things are done in front of a 65-inch screen where I research what I want to know and stuff like that. So
sure, absolutely.
So this is what my experience. So I'm just, for the probably second time in my life, I'm just picking up the phone and randomly call. I didn't block the number or anything. You know what I mean? I'm just being straight up about it, because I'm like, dude, this is really serious. I need to find out. I don't want to really set up a counselor. I just want to ask a believer a question or two. And so now I understand that I appreciate you saying you don't have the full, that's something you'd have to ponder, because that's a little shocking, and implications to me are tremendous. So I'm in shock almost about even the thought. But the reality is that I wonder, so maybe you could answer this question then. When I opened the Bible again recently, I saw the words "in the beginning." And then I thought about it, and I read the whole Bible before, and I thought about it. I says, well, Moses wrote the first 5 books, but he wasn't there in the beginning, technically. It doesn't say in the Bible that God said, hey, Moses, on my behalf, I want you to write how this story began, how the world began, because no one was there. It wasn't created until 7 days. And then after that, Adam and Eve came about period down the line.
Right.
So I wondered, I noticed, I read a lot of books in life, and usually when somebody's explaining or starting a scene. They'll say like in the beginning, and they'll kind of like set the backdrop. And I'm thinking like, where did that come from in the beginning? Who gave Moses, who gave anyone permission on behalf of God to tell us how the world began? Where did that come from? Do you have any idea?
I do not.
Really?
I honestly do not.
These are interesting questions that probably need to be answered.
Yeah.
Are you, if you don't mind me asking, what is your, are you American? I mean, I can clearly tell you.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you biracial or?
I'm African American.
Okay. So I guess then I'll ask you this question. Have you ever heard of the word Bantu?
It's familiar, but I can't really say for sure.
That's amazing. Oh my God. I'm so like, I got tingles on the back of my neck right now just hearing that. You know why? Because I did a lot of research in my life, right? And that sound, it resonates through the Bantu people's brain, through the, like a specific point in their brain. That sound alone, it resonates. And the reason why is because it's in your DNA. All of the slaves that were taken, right, during the time of slavery, all of the African Americans that are here in America, when they do their DNA, they don't find out they're Somalian and Kenyan. They're all Bantu. They're all Congo. They all come from the Congo. They came from Senegambia, Guinea, and then eventually ended up in Nigeria, which is where their most recent ancestors are. They're Igbo or they're Yoruba, the most spiritual people on the planet. They're God. They didn't know anything about the Bible. They didn't know anything about this stuff. They were considered sun worshipers at that time, all through the history of their people. They looked up at the sun and was like, wow, the darkest of them, listen to this, the darkest of them, can you, is it, I don't know if it's can I continue or it seemed like I was...
No, I do apologize. I would love to consider. It sounds very, very interesting and enlightening, but I'm not allowed to. This is where we're scheduling folks.
Yeah, that's a little more cultural instead
I
of spiritual.
apologize.
I got that. Well, just I encourage you to look up the word Bantu. That's what you are.
Okay.
Nobody told you, but I'm going to tell you. Okay. Have a good one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.